Hello everyone, welcome to next video .NET Core and DNX. This is the second lesson from all about ASP.NET Core video series. So said in the previous video, you can find these videos on the YouTube channel debugging.io, or you can actually download the entire course from the GitHub repository of debugging.io, repository related to .NET Core cloud, the course. And you can also watch this video or comment on this on the debugging.io website. So let's get started. In this video, we're going to look at the .dnx, or it's called .NET execution environment. So as we saw in the previous one, .NET Core is a set of runtime, library, and compiler components. You basically write your code, and it can, using .NET Core and SDK, you can download the libraries and compile the components and run your application. It comes with the two compilers. The JIT compiler it called. It gets compiled when you're new on your application, and we also have ahead of time compiler, which is the .NET native compiler. As of now, the support is there for compiling a console application to native. Basically, you don't really need to ship the entire .NET Framework library or .NET Core library with the application. It gets compiled to your code, and you don't really have to ship all the framework DLLs with our application. So it directly gets executed just like you write with C++ or C. So .NET Core also manages memory for you. It comes with a built-in garbage collector, so you as a developer don't have to manage the memory. And as we saw in previous video, it can run on Windows, Linux, or any OS, which the .NET framework currently supports many OSs like OS X, FreeBSD, and all different versions of Linux, all the flavors. So let's see what is actually .NET Core. When we say .NET Core, it contains two parts: the Core CLR and Core FX. Core CLR is our actual runtime, a small runtime which is built from the same code base of .NET Framework CLR. And when I say .NET Framework CLR, this is in existence for 10 plus years, and it has all the features and all the stability comes with it. So this is not something which is very new. It's built from that code base, and it gets installed, or you can install the .NET Framework or .NET Core CLR using a NuGet package. So NuGet package is, or NuGet is a package management system for a .NET ecosystem. So there are thousands of libraries available, and the .NET Framework itself you can just install using the NuGet package. And CoreFX is the part of the .NET Core we refer to, which is basically the standard libraries which comes with it. So console or IO, all those libraries which you want to do with your programming, your application, the standard libraries comes with the system star NuGet packages. So that is called CoreFX. So another major, or one of the important concepts in .NET Core is called DNX. So DNX is .NET Execution Environment. So what DNX does is DNX basically bootstrap the runtime. So when you write your application and when you execute it, you basically have, as of now, we have two ways to do that. One is the DNX. We have a DNX.exe or DNX command line, and we have the .NET CLI command line. So eventually this will all be merged together, but internally it will still use the .NET execution environment. And what we have here is the DNX basically runs your application. So it bootstraps the hosting runtime. It finds your entry point. So you write an application which is a console application. The DNX basically goes and finds out that it has to start executing from the main method which you have written in your control application, and then it executes it. So DNX basically does these. So DNX, why the DNX is basically DNX simplifies cross-platform development. Let's see how it does that. So we have different versions of .NET Framework here, and you can see that we have .NET Framework, Mono, .NET Core, three versions as of now. And when you write your simplest console application, the same code can run on each of these, and each of these flavors is available on different version of OSs and platforms. So each of these comes with its own CLR, and FCL is the framework class library, and Mono is called Mono class libraries, and Core in .NET Core is called Core FX, as you see here. So we have different versions of our runtime as well as the class libraries. And what this DNX does is DNX encapsulates or DNX abstracts this away from you so that your application does not have to worry about it, and you can run your application in DNX with the help of DNX on all these platforms. Okay, so going back to this thing, it helps simplify cross-platform development, and DNX provides tooling for installing, creating, and managing the packages, and it is easy to work with when we have DNX. And the DNX project, we will get to that in the later part of this video. DNX project actually helps you easily work with the open source project and get the source from um, any repository of any libraries which you have, and easily modify that and gets it compiled with your application and debug it. So we'll get to see how these things are done, but DNX makes all these things possible, and that's exactly what this um, image depicts. Basically, your application and DNX sits in between, so you don't your application, you don't have to really, it can run on all the flavors of .NET Framework available. And there's something called .NET CLI. So if you're watching this video, say after a couple of months from now, when this video has been produced, so everything, the terms which you discussed earlier, like DNX, everything will be merged to something called .NET CLI. So this DNX part, it will be still internally be using, but will not have a command line, or will not have an execution a layer or dnx.exe later. So everything will be something called .NET.exe, and all these things will be merged to that. So we have, as of now, we have two things. This, as of this video, .NET Runtime or .NET Core is in an early stage of development, and it's in a RC phase. And once it becomes RTM, everything will be merged to .NET command line interface. So you will in this video you will actually see many other commands like dnx, and we have something called dnu and dnvm. So these things will eventually be all be merged to .NET CLI and one exe called .NET.exe, but internally it'll be having the same concept which we see here. So the references for this is basically we have .NET Core. You can just go ahead and check all these references in slide deck, debugging.io website, or you can download the GitHub repository and references. So and so you have to follow the documentation we referred in previous in the slide deck. You can go to the references and install it. So once you install it, you would get something like this. So you've go to command prompt and you've done dnx. So let me show you something. So we have, let me clear this, and we have, if you run dnx, it will give you what is what we're talking about. So when we have it installed, the dnx, basically what it does is dnx gives you options to debug, execute our application. So this will all be merged to .NET CLI, as we said, but this functionality will exist in .NET CLI also, but the command line will be a bit different, so which we will see in the next video. So DNX, basically, as you see here, it's Microsoft execution environment, and this is what executes your application. So I'm already inside an application which I've created. So let's see what all contains inside this. So we have, any DNX project is basically contains a project.json file. Okay, so project.json file is what defines any folder or any directory of yours is as, okay, this contains a DNX project. Okay, so once we have installed, please follow the slide deck and install it. You will get the DNX exe in your command line, and once you run it, you will see something like this. And as you can see this, you have to install, or to run your application, all you have to do is dnx and run command, and it will run your application. So let's see how what is contained in our project.json file and project dot. So project.json file is nothing but which is defined, which defines our project, basically defines the version of our project and description and another name. But couple of details which you just have to see is that what kind of framework our application can run. So DNS 451 is basically the entire .NET framework full runtime, and we have DNX Core 50, which is nothing but our .NET Core. So this will be changed in the next version. So we will see that in the next video, these frameworks, how this framework name would be changing. So this is all about your project, and you can get the source code from the GitHub repo. So we have the source code available in this path. So once you download the GitHub repo, you have courses, and then we have samples. In the samples, you find this thing, and you can actually execute it. So that's about the DNX, the simplest DNX application you run, and this is how you run your simplest of the .NET Core application. So this link basically take you to how to install ASP.NET Core or .NET Core on Windows, and then you can just the same article also refers Linux or other flavors OS X, and you can run create a directory and put these projects, or just pull that fork this GitHub repo and then execute your application. So other command line we will see is called dnvm, and it is, let's clear the screen, and we have dnvm. So dnvm is .NET Framework Version Manager. So this basically can list all the framework available. So the command which I run is dnvm list. You can see the dnvm list, and basically what it did is it displayed all the frameworks which I have installed in my machine, and you can see that I'm currently running an RC1 version of the CLR. Okay, but you can actually switch to core CLR also, and using another command dnvm and use command and give the version, and it will do that. So as of now, we don't really have to do that, because this command which I'm showing right now will be eventually merged to .NET CLI, so which is what we will see in the next video. Okay, since we have the next one is called dnvm, and the next the next exe or next command line option we have is something called dnu. So dnu is our .NET development utility, and what this does is this helps you build, package, create commands with your application. So using dnu, once you have it here, so one thing which you have to run, or which you may not be able to completely quickly run your application, because we have many things in our package, many assemblies, dependencies in our package. So what, using the help of DNU, what we can do is we can do DNU restore, and what this does is it pulls all these dependencies we have referred, and pulls it, and then gets it installed in this machine, and then you can run dnx run command, so it will get executed. So what does our dnx basically executes? It's our programs.cs. Okay, so sorry about that. So let's go to, so okay, so okay, and okay, so this is nothing but we are just using system library, and then we have our code, and this is how we simply execute a DNX code. Okay, or simplest of the console application we have, and that's three command line utilities we have, and you can find more details in the references section. Okay, so please go watch the next video about .NET CLI, and that explains more about the command line, or what .NET, or changes to what we have done to the DNX, DNVM, and DNU. So this is for your reference, since this is how ASP.NET Core and .NET Core started. Initially we had all these things, but by the time, or in some time, will all get merged to single command called .NET. So whatever we saw now will all be merged to one single command called .NET and .NET CLI, and to run your application you will be just doing .NET and space run command, and it'll just run your application. And thank you for watching. Please download the source code from the GitHub repo and play with it to get more understanding. Thank you.